All right, so just as a reminder, we go over everything real quick. Each person will take the time to. I will. I don't want to hear that. God.
Sorry.
I hope you feel better.
To be fair, it's not me this time.
That is entirely fair. That is entirely fair. Congratulations, Solar. Here's a cookie.
Oh boy.
All right, so just to go over everything real quick, mic checks are done. I will introduce everyone. If you guys want to add something to your introduction, please you can after I introduce you. The first pass, everyone will be given 3 minutes to discuss exactly how they feel about the episode, both positive and negative aspects. During that time, if you want to say something or need something to be addressed that they're talking about, press your push to talk button so you light up, and I will do my best to call on you in the order that you light up.
Fiaura, I should just mention, I think your audio is going onto the live stream right now.
I know. Oh, right. I should play the intro, shouldn't I?
Oof. Just a little confusing. If this were the NBS show, you would owe me a quarter. I'm trying to break Safi of that. Thanks, Daz.
Button.
Hi, everyone. I forgot that I pressed the live button and thought that YouTube still had the "Are you sure? Let's preview your stream" thing going on, and they don't do that anymore. It just goes live.
Yep.
Whoopsie.
Our little pony.
All right, everyone, back to one. Back to one.
Doing it live.
So we're doing it live. This week is the third week. We are discussing Friendship University, MLP Season 8, Episode 16. And since it's an odd week, we start at the top of the order. So I would like to introduce De Wilstonator, or Thespio, reviewer, voice actor, and songwriter.
Greetings, everybody. Sorry I'm not as energetic as everybody else may be here. I am currently battling some back issues, so if I'm not as enthusiastic as everybody, that's why. But still happy to be here.
Golden Fox.
Hey, I think a lot of you know who I am at this point. I'm not going to bother to talk too much about it. Pass into the next.
Wow, that was incredibly short for the grandfather of pony reviews. Then we move on to Jasper Pie.
Hello. This is Jasper of the Pie's Pizzeria. Who better to cook a pie than a pie? I hate this episode.
Hey guys, this is your Ace Analyst Master Code here. We're going to analyze this episode and most likely tear it apart. So everyone, enjoy.
Moon Knight Bird.
Hello, I'm Moon Knight, and I guess everyone hates this episode, and yeah, it's just terrible.
We gonna have a long talk. Can y'all tell as I get to Silver Quill with the soundboard?
Yes, that's me, ready to spring into action. But, you know, that might, I expect at least a little bit of appreciation. Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, I wouldn't give to be in a coma right about now.
Geez, that's what you said during watching the episode viewing. Though, I guess I'll be in the minority as I'm not as offended by this episode as others. So let's have some fun, eh?
Solar Flare down there, our resident, I guess we refer to him as military punching bag?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah!
This is, yeah, I yell at things and people get entertained by it for some reason, so I guess I'm good for something. Hi, it's self-depreciating humor. Okay, moving on.
And the Brony Critic down here at the bottom.
Hey everybody, I'm the Brony Critic. I do fandom reviews, and I am also a firm believer in Les Majestés, which clearly Equestria does not have.
Oh, only if
Les Majestés? I'll ask what that means later.
Les Majestés is effectively laws against insulting royalty. In some countries, if you insult the monarch, you can be thrown in prison.
Oh, okay. That does make sense. And yeah, why don't they capitalize on that?
That would have worked out for this episode. But it probably wouldn't have helped her image.
And Moon Knight Burb has something from last week's episode that he would like to bring someone in to present real quick. Because the artist would like to present their art. And as horrifying as that art is. So I hope you're all ready. This is... I did not do this. I swear to you. Hey, Silver Quill, are you ready? Are you ready for real trauma?
I've listened to everyone complain about the episode. I feel like I'm at least prepped.
Okay.
Okay, so so he's Spiral. He's actually my boyfriend. And well, I told him about the little conversation, and he actually heard about certain bird below me that wanted some barbecue on him. So as you can see in the general Spiral presented Spiral.
Oh my.
Hello.
You've all seen this now, and you can't unsee it.
No, I was joking. I was being funny.
Well,
but the audience has
never a
not
joke
seen it.
to me, my friend.
The audience has seen it. I just put it up.
The audience has
Really?
seen it.
And I ask of the... Seriously, that's the best you got?
I think because I've got the website pulled up and I can't see it there.
I just saw it. I saw more than I needed to.
Oh, but I can see the people's comments. So, in honor of everyone, I offer.
Thank you for accurately reflecting my feelings.
And yet, at the same time,
So,
Oh god.
I just lost my ability to count to purple. That's how terrified I am.
so thank you, Spyrisa. If you guys want to draw something and throw it at us that's absolutely horrific or entertaining from something we've said, I guess I've opened that door now. There you go, stream and viewers. Have at it.
oh, do try to include some soy sauce next time.
I'll
That's
be sure
not
to
what it
keep
was.
that in mind.
Ah, the life I live is sad.
In the meantime, Del Wilsonator is at the top of the list and will be starting off with his initial thoughts on the episode. So I'm going to read the episode synopsis. Twilight receives a notice that apparently Flim Flam have started the Friendship University in Las Pegasus and has to go there to deal with her potential competition, but a curveball is thrown when her mentor, Starswirl the Bearded, is one of the students. In the meantime, Will, you're up.
All right. You know what? As much as other people are against this, I'm gonna have to side with Silver that I'm kind of indifferent on this episode. I mean, yes, there are some questionable things about this. I will not deny that. But yeah, overall I just found this, like, in the grand scheme of things, just kind of meh. Like I'm with Silver. I'm not really as offended by this as other people are. I mean, I can understand the commentary that's being presented about, I mean, yeah, universities do, charge out the flank for, textbooks and stuff. So yeah, I understand that allegory and all that. But aside from that, I will say it was kind of interesting to see Flim Flam take this direction. I mean, yeah, it was a scam overall, but honestly, like, these were like the last ponies I thought would do something like this. Like, not gonna lie, like, I've been spending today trying to catch up on other episodes throughout the season and all that. So this was completely blindsided. I did not read any synopsises, and I'm not gonna lie, a lot of it kind of kept me guessing, kind of had me on the edge of my feet. It's like, yeah, Twilight was kind of in a pinch here, but I'm sure after listening to other people's input on why this episode, quote unquote, sucked, I may change my perspective, but overall, I found it to be just okay. Like, like I said, I'm not as offended. I will say this. One of the parts that I did like was it's always really nice to see Twilight and Rarity working off each other. They're my two favorite ponies, and we barely see them interact with each other or work off of each other. And I think the two of them were just, I mean, yeah, Rarity suggesting that Twilight wear an eye patch was kind of dumb. But aside from that, these two were like a well-oiled machine, I think. It was. I don't know. I don't have too much to say on it other than I thought it was fine. And I think with that, I'll go ahead and pass it down.
Go ahead, Goldie. Let it loose.
All right. This isn't necessarily the worst episode of season 8. My pick on that one still goes for the mod couple, but I had a lot of issues with this episode, particularly with the characters. Flim and Flam are still played up the same old shtick, despite the development that they potentially had with Viva Las Pegasus. And then you have Starswirl the Bearded, who pretty much was whacked with a stupid stick to be manipulated by these two con men, even though he's somebody who learns magic and should know better than to fall gullibly for these two characters. And the worst of which that I was really upset about was how Naysay was written. They made him even more xenophobic than what he was in School Days. With School Days, I could somewhat understand his reasonings because he fears that some of the knowledge that would be passed on to other creatures would be a threat. But here, it's just him being a complete speciesist. And it's just like, it's like the writers are trying to make these adult conflicts black and white. And it's not good writing. You're potentially teaching terrible lessons to kids doing that. And that really concerns me with what Season 8 is doing. So with that said, I'm going to pass it off to the next person.
Oh, boy. I think just the main thing I didn't really like about this episode is just how stupidly gullible everyone in the background is. And even Rarity at one point, it's just why? Why is that the best disguise you can think of for Twilight? Just an eye patch and a poster, though. It can fool one dumb guy, but it can't fool anyone else. Also, there's this one part at the end where I do wonder how Flim and Flam got your book. Right as that happens, Cozy Glow opens the door, and I'm thinking, that's not just a coincidence. That's too conveniently timed. It can't just be me, right? And with that in mind, I pass it down to Mastercode.
Yeah, this episode's been kind of a mixed bag for me. Like, I've seen it once before and just now again. So, again, let's go with Chancellor Naysay, because the problem is, like everyone said, he's just there to pretty much be the conflict. He's like, oh, look, hey, these two are going to cause trouble for Twilight in her school. I guess I'm going to do it just because I'm the evil villain. I have no other purpose. It's like, I'm just here for the conflict. What's that? The conflict's over? Or the conflict's still going? Oh, well, then I guess I'll just excuse myself. He just kind of disappears like he has no real effect on the rest of the episode. And I will say that the only good part I actually did like, the song was pretty entertaining. It was upbeat. It was fun. I mean, I'd almost put it like at second to Super Speedy Cider Squeezy. Like that was one of my favorite one, and then this one would probably be number 2. But there just feels like so much wasted potential. I mean, conceptually, it's good where there's this rival school coming, and it's like this could steal. Excuse me. There's this rival school that pops up. It's like, oh no, this could be bad, and oh no, it's headed by the Flim Flams. I asked myself, what if, because from beginning to end, this thing is totally predictable. What if in the end there was no scam? What if it was just them, being legit? What if they finally turn over a new leaf? This is, I think that would have been a much more interesting way to go. But as it is, it was just a middle of the road, just kind of okay episode. So I'll pass it off.
Well, I think that the episode just didn't give it up from the beginning. You're thinking that, oh, hey, we're seeing Starswirl. He's getting on friendship lessons. He's learning all stuff. And then you just get suddenly introduced to Flim Flam again, and the Chancellor Naysay racist pony, whatever he does, because he's not really that much in this episode. He's just like, oh, I'm here, I'm racist, goodbye. And then, like, the Flim Flam thing, like, I do agree, like, maybe making them good would have been, in the end, making them good would have been, like, something more entertaining. But then again, you already have, like, that kind of plot with what was it, the Trixie and Starlight episode, where she wasn't really, well, she was mean, but like she ended up being good. But it's like it would have been so much more interesting to see how Starswill did like a proper friendship university or another school, and see it like I don't know, improving some parts that maybe Twilight didn't like improve that much, or I don't know, something else, because it would have been more interesting than, oh, it's another Flim Flam episode, which ends up pretty much like all the others, where the scam gets discovered and they just have to return whatever they took, and they never really grow as characters. They're just scamming like every season they're in.
We will come back to you, Shoujo. Give you a second to catch up and gather your notes, because I know you literally just got in here. Hey, Quill, what are your thoughts?
Hiya. Well, for starters, I will appreciate any episode that features a fake university whose abbreviation is FU. Because...
Subtlety.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He's asking the real questions.
Now I'm just imagining Silver Quill handing all of us diplomas outside of a university that just says FU, no context.
We'd like to give you a certificate courtesy of FU. Unfortunately, we had no S's to give. But let's see. Moving hastily onward. I enjoy Flim and Flam because at this point they're the holdouts. We have had any number of very swift and often confusing reformations where, depending on how long you stick with the characters, you can ease into the idea that they've moved beyond what they used to be. But that moment of transition just does not work. And so I appreciate that Flim and Flam are amongst the number of characters I can count on one hand who haven't given up their old ways just because they were bested by the main six. In fact, we can talk a little bit more about why everyone else fell for them, when sort of the nature of a Flim Flam is to prey on people's conceptions or preconceptions. But I had fun watching this. I found it mostly harmless. There was not a negative message in my eyes. They touched on the idea of how do you balance the lesson of giving people a chance to start over versus knowing that someone may not have your best intentions at heart, or that you just know this person has a tendency to scam, because trust, when broken, has to be earned back, and Flim and Flam have never done that. I also really enjoyed the theme of ego running through the piece, and how the characters acted. I hear people when they say Chancellor Naysay is very one note. I don't like other creatures. Ponies first, meh. But it's interesting to see how that attitude influences his role and basically undermines the very ideal he's trying to profess. So I think we'll get into that when we talk about this more in depth.
Oh boy. All right, so that's Silver Quill. Hey, Solar. I'm waiting for your opinion, and I'm totally not ready.
Brace yourselves.
I'm gonna counter this with everybody got hit with an idiot stick during this episode. Characters that have been shown to be clever and intelligent in the past have now just become completely gullible and idiotic for the sake of the plot of this episode, which I thought was really, really, really dumb. There are numerous examples of this throughout the episode. I know everybody harped on Rarity for saying, oh, yeah, an eye patch and a post-it note over the cutie mark is definitely going to serve as a suitable disguise coming from a fashionista. But, that's just one of them. That's like one out of like how many moments were there like that in the episode? Like 8, 9, 10, immeasurable? I don't know. That's basically my whole thought. I didn't think there were very many good things about this episode because it went pretty much as well as you expected it to. It's like, oh, Flim and Flam are up to something, but it's not immediately relevant what it is. And then later on, we find out they're actually bad, even though we were starting to come around to them. And then we expose them, and then it goes right back to where things were at the beginning, where they're terrible ponies. Then, yeah, that was pretty much the whole episode. Passing it off.
Right? Brony Critic, what have you got?
Well, I'm largely in the opinion with the majority here of I appreciate the commentary they're trying to get across. It's a good commentary and one that needs to be said. However, the execution, I hate when the only way a story's conflict can be resolved or can go forward is when you have to hit everyone with the idiot stick. And they had to do that with this episode because at any point, at any point this could have been solved or fixed, if they actually had, the general principles of, this is a monarchy, this is a monarchy, and yet they insult their monarch on a regular basis. You'd think, we'd see some kind of reference of, respect for the authority, but no, I guess we don't, despite how in every other season we've seen it. And I don't like how the Flim Flam brothers are portrayed as scam artists because, as Anthony C. put it quite nicely in the Super Cider Squeezy 6000, they weren't scam artists. Their machine actually worked. Their fault was that they didn't negotiate and that they tried to kind of cut corners. But their machine would have totally worked, which is why I think the idea of making them good guys, making it that they had the intention of actually creating a school with, somewhat good intentions and, having a school with somewhat good intentions and just, maybe having naysay or something, forcing them, if they want to be accredited, to have to do things they don't like just to snub Twilight. That would have been more interesting to see and given them a chance to actually reform in a more reasonable way. This could have been more interesting. The idea, as Thespio said, is a good idea. I just don't think the execution is very good.
All right. So, does anyone have any strong thing or general theme, idea, or concept behind this episode they want to absolutely stand up on their soapbox about right now?
I think I might have something. Not
right.
not really.
Hold
not really.
on. So
Okay.
I see Will first, then Silver Quill, and I saw somebody else light up. Who was the other person?
It was me.
Yeah. All right. So we'll start with Will.
All right. I will say this much: there is one theme. It wasn't just explored in this episode. I'm talking about this sort of approach in season 8 in general, and this one just kind of emphasized my feelings on it. Trying to figure out how to put this. Why does Equestria need a school about friendship? That I don't know. Like, part of me thinks, like, I'm sure other people may have touched on this in the past, but that I haven't noticed due to lack of foresight. But why does Equestria need this education system to teach people just to simply how not to be a jerk? I don't know. Like, I was sort of on board with this in the premiere, but as it goes on, as the season goes forward, I'm just like, you're shelling out all this money, you're taking in all these other creatures just simply to tell them don't be a jerk to each other. I don't know. It seems, I don't know, it's kind of an extreme way of doing so. I mean, I won't deny that it's been kind of effective, but like at the same time, just why is it needed? Why was this approach for this arc in the season necessary? It seems kind of I mean, yeah, friendship is magic and all that, but I think like this is one of the more childish sounding story arcs about this whole friendship school. And I don't know, just part of me thinks like it's kind of taken an extremist point of way. It's like, guys, it's full. Just don't be a jerk. Oh, am I good now?
You're good.
You're fine now.
So,
okay.
I think you raise a good point, and I would like to hear what other people have to say on it. So does anybody have anything they want to say to Will's point of why do we need a friendship school? This is actually a question that's already come up on the Q&A list. All right,
yeah,
because
so
I think the problem is the way that they have structured the season. Because the idea itself, the concept, is a good idea. Because you could say, like, have the students go to the Dragonlands and learn dragon things from the dragons, and then we go to the Yaks. You know, it's kind of like a field trip, but they never structured it that way. So rather than like having this friendship school where they learn about each other's cultures, they don't. They just kind of sit there next to Twilight's castle and do nothing.
They have cupcakes in class, which doesn't really mean much.
Just a reminder, guys, when we're doing the back and forth, queue up first so you're not talking over each other. You were saying something, Jasper?
I was just saying they eat cupcakes in class, which really amounts to nothing at all.
Quill?
Well, first off, they have talked about other cultures and their history. For example, Ocellus knew the full history of Yixlr, the great Yak warrior. And the armor and artifacts that they were using in that scavenger hunt, all of them were part of a history class. Unfortunately, we have not gotten to witness a great deal of what's gone on at this school. I call it the positivity void. You're left to assume that good things are happening off screen because we only get to check in when things are going wrong. Now, that unfortunately is a negative reflection on how the school's been presented within the story, but it doesn't necessarily translate into the school itself as a negative. In terms of its purpose, Equestria is a place that fosters friendship, but how often are we really consciously aware of what we're doing right in a friendship? How often do we know if we said just the right thing or if we've adapted, and can we put that into words with other people? I think at this school, at its best ideal, is prepping ponies to go out and interact with entities beyond Equestria. They had their first very poor sampling when both the Storm King invaded and then the Hippogriffs would not assist. And then ponies do not have a good track record interacting with other cultures. If they're more aware of techniques and strategies for bridging the gaps in communication and relations, then they're better equipped. Add to that, you have students from without who are not from as nurturing a culture. They may get exposed to ideas that they've never heard before. If anything, I think that's more of an argument that Twilight should have more griffins and yaks and dragons. But right now, this is just the first time. If we ever get like a flash forward sequence, I would expect to see many, many more diverse students at this school. But right now, we're in the very first year.
Brony Critic, you have something you want to talk about this? Oh boy.
Yeah, I've kind of been thinking a lot about that too, and I had very little idea on what to like. Why would you need a friendship university? And I definitely think Silver Quill's got the idea of the positivity void. But I came across, I read a few weeks ago a really interesting idea for a. Well, there was a fan fiction that was released that kind of explained a rather interesting idea. It's called "Am I a Political Pawn" by Bonster, and basically the idea behind it is Ocellus asks Twilight if she's basically being used as a political pawn because they have one of each species. And so basically the idea is turning them all into ambassadors for their respective nations. That the natural idea would be once Ocellus and Gallus and all of them graduate, they would go back to their homes and spread friendship lessons, from that point, which is, I think, the idea. It's not really so much a traditional school, although they certainly market it that way because they're, it's a program for children, and children kind of only have an idea in their head what school looks like. So they marketed that, but what it really is more is sort of a diplomatic or ambassador training program in a lot of ways, I think.
Okay. Anybody else want to weigh in on why we need a friendship school? Oh,
Maybe.
boy.
Yeah, I've
Okay,
been meaning to.
Let's start with Golden.
Basically, both Silver Quill and Brony Critic stole my answer. I was able to see this from the start, that based on the other cultures, the pride issues with the Griffins, how reckless and destructive the Yaks were, how Queen Nova was taking her insecurities first in the movie, and how threatening the dragons were. A lot of these have one thing in common, and that's anything but understanding friendship. And it seems more like they're having trouble trying to interact with other kinds of race. And seeing what the ponies learn, and especially what Twilight learns, it's more in her obligation to spread around the knowledge of friendship to other cultures so that hopefully they can learn off of each other and hopefully not go against each other's throats. Because there seems to be a little bit of that. Like in part 2 of School Days, you've seen that some of them, when the students were missing, they were starting to blame each other. So this is more of just like passing on to a generation to hopefully grow something a little more middle ground with all the other races. I was able to see something like that ever since the friendship school, or School Days, I should say. That's the way I'm seeing it. I wasn't sure if everybody else saw it the same way as I did.
Okay, Moon Knight, and then I'll get Solar.
Okay, so I guess that the idea of the school, like the Brony Critic said, it since the start it's been that it's not a regular school. It's supposed to be something like different, because even Twilight says this, I think, in one episode, like you can't learn friendship from a book or from rules or whatever it is. Like this is sort of something different, so that other cultures learn about pony culture and vice versa, like for example in the Heartswarming Club episode, where everyone gets to know what ponies do in Heartswarming, what other cultures do in that sort of special days. And I think that the idea of them being ambassadors is actually not too far-fetched, because they in like Friendship Always Wins, like the song, like in School Race, like they even say it, like when they finish it, they have this gift that is friendship, that it's being with others and enjoying different stuff that they like. I don't know, maybe that they dislike, learning about different cultures. But I think the point is, that yes, they have to spread this friendship, because maybe their way of life wasn't bad for them, but then again, we have the dragons that actually terrorize villages. We have the griffins, which are terrible with just every pony that they just, or every creature that they just come across. So the idea of friendship spreading isn't that bad, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, the whole thing about a friendship school, and like people are saying, "Oh, why do they need to learn about friendship?" I don't think it's because, I think the misconception is they need to learn about friendship like with each other, but that's not exactly the vibe I'm getting out of it. It's not so much, oh, I need to learn friendship about things from my own race, but friendship about things from other races. Because like typically whenever you have a country that has predominantly one race of, or one species, or one anything like that, and you meet somebody that's from another country, from another culture, something like that, they might do some things that you find weird or you find offensive. Like a good example of this actually is, if anybody's ever read the fucking Aragon books, they were at war with this race of people called Urgles for the longest time, and eventually, in order to help with their own war effort, they actually ended up recruiting some of these Urgles. And so when they inevitably brung the leaders together to, have their little meeting and discuss strategies and whatnot, the first thing the Urgle chief does is he just like screams at at who's currently in charge of the humans, and everybody's freaking out like, oh god, yeah, no, he's getting ready to attack. And then the protagonist is like, no, chill. This is how they greet their chiefs. He's showing respect. And that's kind of what I'm getting from this friendship school. It's like, okay, this person's doing some weird stuff, but it's not meant to be offensive. It's just how they do things. So instead of like seeing somebody doing some weird stuff and then immediately, gathering up your arms and going to town on them, you're like, oh no, that's just a normal thing they do. That's my thought on it anyways.
Welcome to the army of Fiaura.
Does anybody else want to weigh in on why we need a friendship school, or are we going to move on to... Oh, okay.
Actually, yeah, I think there is one more other thing I would like to say. That I saw this image. It was either on Derpy Boru or Twitter, and it actually sort of raised up a little bit of inconsistency when it comes to this friendship school. I believe it was this one image. It was from, I think, either season 1 or season 2. Celestia talking to Twilight, saying, I sent you to Equestria to make friends, and it was along the lines like, friendship can't be taught. But then it cuts to an image right next to it of Celestia saying, I think a friendship school is a great idea, which kind of goes against her previous saying all that time ago. So I don't know how much that holds water, especially with, the monarch of this land weighing in on this decision. I don't know. That's just something I noticed while browsing around, and it actually raised up an interesting point.
Well,
I'm gonna raise an interesting point for this, and then pass the microphone on back to I think it was Moon Knight and then Quill again. The thing about friendship now is that it has changed from just a concept of you have friends and you need to make friends to it is an actual magical force in their world that can trump every form of magic they know of. Example, Tyrek. Example, Tree of Harmony. Example, Discord. They seem to recognize that there's some power in this that is beyond just, oh, I'm going to go to the movies with you tonight because you're my friend and you're fun to hang out with. And I think the purpose of the school is less just teaching about friendship and more in hopes of developing successors to the main 6. But that's my opinion.
Oh no, as soon as I saw them get introduced in the opening, I'm like, oh, if they created a series where these were the main characters, I would absolutely be down for that.
Yeah, actually, when you put it that way, that actually does make sense.
Okay. I think the idea of the friendship school, that quote might be from season 1. Then again, it was like different writers, different stuff. But I think regardless of that, maybe with the new interactions with the other species, like the dragons or the griffins, or even the hippogriffs, because at the end, the hippogriffs did kind of try to help them. And I think it was only Skystar, the one that helped them in the movie. But like even then, yeah, maybe in the past she said, oh, friendship can't be taught. But then again, it was only like Twilight. And she was always studying, and maybe she could have had some lessons on friendship, but she couldn't really learn it because she was always in her library. She wasn't hanging out with friends. Like, I think she referred to that. Like, you can't really just go to a book and, oh, I learned everything about friendship, about how relating to other people. I think it was more like you have to go out and see what people are really about. And I think this school is just about that. Like, they have to go out and see how the changelings react to different stuff, how the hippogriffs react to, well, them being free finally, how the griffins can actually be kind and gentle, but, well, there are other griffins around them that don't actually give a crap about what they're doing. So I think the school, yeah, it could be also that they want a successor. They want successors for the main 6. But I think the idea isn't really bad because, like, most of the school episodes are really entertaining and fun and have some deepness to them, whereas most or some of the main 6 episodes, like this one, Friendship University, I think they lack, or they're repeating like lessons, or they're doing it the wrong way, and it's just like I would have loved to see more of the kids, but they're just not showing them.
Yes, indeedy. To follow up on Will's contract, I too saw that image on Le Derby Boru of season 1 versus now, but I think that's part of what I enjoy about this episode is sort of a balancing act. Princess Celestia said that in season 1, we're in season 8. I can't even guess how many years it's been since she said that to Twilight. But the whole idea of this school is that what used to work in the past doesn't necessarily work for the present or the future. So it's something new, something different. Twilight couldn't have learned her lessons through a school, but now that she's learned, perhaps she has the ability to teach others through more innovative ways than just a classroom lecture. A big part of the season premiere was making it explicitly clear you can't just lecture friendship to others. And despite Twilight's propensity to lecture, I'm going to do what I do best. I'm going to lecture her. But again, that's season 2 Twilight.
All right.
But at the same time with this episode, you got Flim and Flam. They're still untrustworthy. So sometimes it's hard. It's a hard judgment call. What used to work may not apply, or some things may never change.
That's entirely fair. My propensity to break things apart and put them back together may never change. Master Code, you had something.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and see if I can encapsulate this whole thing on the friendship school. So yeah, I do think it's necessary, because I kind of see it as a cultural heritage center. Like, this is a place where creatures from all over can come and learn about the lessons that the main 6, in their many travels across the land, searching far and wide. Each creature, they develop a new friendship. You go to the Dragonlands, the Yaks, a lot of the previous examples, Griffinstone. They've gone to these strange places that were kind of hostile, maybe not deadly, but still not friendship prone. And they come and they come to this center, the friendship school, and they see that, excuse me, geez, I'm sneezing like crazy. And they can see that, these lessons, these ponies, they go to these dangerous or somewhat hostile lands, and they've made friendship, they've made connections, they've developed a bond. They're like, maybe I can do that as well. There's I want to expand my outer circles and whatnot. So I think it's a very, very necessary thing for Equestria.
Right. That is a whole can of worms that Will has opened, and we're still going. I thought I saw one more person.
It was me.
It's you. Of course it's you. It's always you. Dang it, Solar. This is why we can't have nice things.
I'm sorry that I'm a disappointment. Anyways.
You are the best disappointment to ever have in my life.
Something Bob Ross, happy little accidents. Anyways, I think so. In my opinion, there are 2 possibilities as to why, obviously, aside from different writers and stuff like that, there are 2 possibilities in my head as to why the original quote, "You can't teach friendship," suddenly got changed to, "Oh yeah, a friendship school would be great." The first one would be in season 1, it was basically just ponies. That was pretty much it. There weren't really any other established races. It was just ponies. And interactions between ponies is just, it's natural to ponies. They're kind of prone to friendship with each other. Maybe not immediately, but that's kind of how things happened. The other one, oh God, I'm trying to blank here. But to further elaborate on the first one, it's now obviously they have They have a bunch of different races that have been established. We have, you know, changelings, we have yaks, we have griffins, we have hippogriffs, and all that other fun stuff. And as we've learned, they don't all act like ponies. They don't have the same tendencies as ponies. So yeah, maybe you can't teach. And the I just remember what the second one was. The second one was basically you can't teach friendship conventionally, which would be just, oh yeah, just gonna pick up a book and suddenly I know all about friendship and how to make friends and make other people like other people. That's not something that you can just, you know, pick up, read, study up on, and then suddenly become an expert at. It's something you kind of have to experience first before you can go and spread that to somebody else. And in my head, both of those are equally plausible. Although I'm sort of leaning more towards the second one, just being you can't teach it conventionally, which would kind of coincide with the whole, oh, the school isn't accredited as like an educational school. Well, I mean, obviously it's educational, it's a school, but like it's not accredited as like a regular school. It's accredited as a like a friendship school. So that's where I stand on it.
All right. Holy crap, that is a whole lot of weight. So, Spy, you want to say something?
Yeah. I think the other one thing about Celestia's attitude changing from then to now is because in the first season, even the first episode, she was under a time constraint. She's like, Twilight, you gotta go out. You got to make friends now. Nightmare Moon is coming back now. You got to do it now. Whereas in the present, there's no threat of Nightmare Moon. It's like, yeah, just build a school, go at a leisurely pace. So you're not under a time constraint. So it's a lot easier for her to accept and look into the idea of a school. Whereas when Nightmare Moon was coming back, she just didn't have the time.
That's a whole lot for that one little theme. Thank you, Will. That is entirely appreciated. We should have him here more often. Oh wait, he's supposed to be a regular member.
Sorry, not sorry.
So I saw Silver Quill and then Moon Knight in that order had a major thing they wanted to bring up. So, Mr. Quill, the floor is presented to you with barbecue sauce.
Oh, we're back to the barbecue sauce. No. You're naughty person.
Murder me!
Soy sauce.
Well, I mean, everybody sees me drenched in soy barbecue sauce. They're all like,
God damn it! I'm trying to forget that image.
I won't.
Better barbecue sauce than dry rub.
I won't let you. But anywho, I like the theme, the ego, running through this episode, which is something that influences people in ways we're not always aware, but it's omnipresent. And it all starts in that opening scene. How does FU advertise itself?
Smoke weed every day.
Yeah, probably.
That's Sandbars University.
Well,
You're
then.
not the only one with the soundboard.
There you go. There's a lessons in relaxation. But their first sales pitch is to make fun of Twilight School. What's the quickest way to feed the ego and make yourself appear better than to tear someone else down right away? Same thing they do during their song and dance. Fast forward to Naysay, who's constantly going on about equestrian defense and the imperativeness of honesty in school and that they have to pass these rigorous standards. And then all of a sudden, because he's got a bone to pick with Twilight, he's throwing all of that under the bus just so he can give her the pony double deuce. He's perfectly willing to trust two casino. Well, they're not real casinos, but pony casino runners, and basically give them accreditation right away. Not even going to follow up. He's just accrediting them right now. All that just so he can rub Twilight in this idea of, I'm the one in charge of who gets recognized. It's all about me. Even his ideals are secondary to his own ego. And Twilight is actually struggling with this. she keeps wondering, well, am I being, really arrogant? Am I just assuming that I'm the only one who can teach friendship? Which led to probably the most egregious line. I get that everybody is mad at Rarity for the eye patch and, oh, how could you think that would be a good disguise? But for me, the worst thing she did in this episode was to say, Twilight, you are not the kind of pony to let your emotions cloud your judgment. She totally is.
So is every pony in the show.
There was a whole episode about her, literally her emotions driving her nuts and causing her to literally attack the entire town.
Which is why I like Twilight questioning herself, doubting herself, and in the end saying, look, I just want you to be honest and treat your students with respect. I don't have to be the one to teach friendship as long as I know it's being taught. That said, I was disappointed that she couldn't recognize her own lessons even while reading them. That was a moment where I felt like she was being brought low. And as for Flim and Flam, at this point, it's not ego. They have some kind of sickness where they have to pull a scam. They have to antagonize Ponyville, the place that has chased them out. It's no longer monetary or even ego-driven. It is a need. And I can only envision one way to redeem them. We can talk about that later, but they've gone beyond just egocentrism.
They must have peeked into the writer's room.
To comment on Flim and Flam's psychological status, this is a form of megalomania. It refers to an individual who feels the need to attempt to find a way to make money without actually doing anything or presenting any real work, and in doing so is either panhandling or scamming an individual because they think they're better than them.
Which is, again, an issue of ego. You're defining yourself only by how much you can tear other people down.
I think not taking the word, sorry. I think, yeah, it could be something like a disease or something, or it could be just for, like, pure revenge. Because, like, I don't know who pointed it out, but, like, in the season finale where Twilight had to rewrite history or whatever with Starlight, we did saw them, like, ending all of Equestria's life and taking down all the trees, and it was all like a barren land. And that was one of the possible endings if they are not stopped time and time again by the main six, which is kind of dark if you think about it. Like, they actually want to just, like, kill everything in the land. Going back to Chancellor Naisei, like, I take it. Okay, he's supposed to be like, oh, I'm against races because they're not ponies, because ponies are, I don't know, are the best race, and they're just going to come here and take our children and kill our women, and, like, I get it, but he hasn't really been that, like, that force, that, like, that villain that has been all around the season. Like, he's only appeared, like, what, in this episode and, like, the opening episode. And it's like, okay, we get it. You're racist. Like, what's more to that? Like, what more can you do? Because you're literally, like, even, yes, maybe the Friendship University was maybe sort of a good idea of him. But, like, it led to nowhere. Like, what's more from him? Because if this is the only appearance he's going to have, then he's not really that good of a villain.
So, in a sense, would it be fair to say that Chancellor Naisei's, ego-driven desires, despite only appearing a few times, going back to something Silver said about ego, which I want to also, connect with your point, Moonburb. I'm getting a sense that Chancellor Naisei is, in a way, also kind of pulling a Trixie in No Second Prances. Like, Trixie was all around hell-bent to demolish Twilight ever since she first laid eyes on her. That's been, like, one of her go-to goals ever since she was introduced. And I don't know, am I the only one sort of seeing a comparison with her actions with Naisei's actions? Just probably, I guess, I don't know if the right word, like, with potency or something like that. I don't know. Am I making sense?
No,
I'm starting to see the connection and where you're coming from.
hold on. So I'm gonna pass it to Quill after this, but yeah, I'm starting to see the connection. But he seems like he's on a fast track to that connection instead of on Trixie's nearly 2-season long reformation. He's literally on the get there in 1 season track. Silver.
Well, I just saying, I agree with Will. There is a very strong similarity. I mean, Trixie acted like she was just wanting to one up Twilight, and it wasn't until she realized she really wanted a friend was denied to her. She basically sabotaged herself. Naysay may have that coming. Okay, I've seen early releases and spoilers, so I can't say anything about this. So I'm just going to be in the corner going, hee hee hee, I know something you don't know. To you. Yes, I'll be in the corner with a bottle of soy sauce.
Cool then.
Why you gotta do this like this?
But I do see the similarity, and I will say neither gets points for subtlety, but I like the ideas present. With a little bit more time and underplay, I think it would appeal to an older audience, but this is aimed at younger audience, and I feel like they want to dial things up a little to make sure kids get the core message.
And what is that core message?
Well, one, to beware being too full of yourself, to let go of judgments and try and see things in the here and now, which is the balancing act Twilight struggles with. She knows Flim and Flam, and so she knows there's a very good chance this is a scam. But here are the others rightly saying, hey, you've taught us to forgive, to give ponies a second chance. We just saved the world from all destroying darkness. Are you really going to hold a grudge against 2 guys for starting a school? And Twilight has to really wrestle with herself, saying, what's real and what's my own prejudice? Much like Naysay and Trixie wasn't totally aware of herself, as she was rivals with Twilight, but also wanting to be friends with Starlight.
All right. I think I saw Brony Critic, Moon Knight, and did I miss Master Code?
I think the one about Brony Critic too.
All right, so let's start with Brony Critic and then go to the other 2.
The thing I found kind of really surprising or kind of infuriating about Naysay is, how blunt he is. Racism, and this was absolutely racism. There were some lines he said that are literally straight out of 1920s, 1930s American segregation and racial, like racial bigotries, like literally having to go wash himself of like another creature's, the disgustingness or the filth off of them. Like those kinds of lines were just kind of like stunned awe. And it's a shame because there's a potential there for like nuance, for really interesting aspects, because again, this kind of also goes a little bit into the need for a friendship school. Equestria is a very isolated, very internalized place, you get the sense, especially since like the town of Ponyville had no idea what a zebra was, and suddenly within just a few years they've got griffins, changelings, dragons, all these other creatures living in the town. You get the sense that maybe the world is filled with a lot more naysays, and so there's a chance there to have really good commentary, especially nowadays, some really nice commentary. But they're turning naysay into a straw man, and they're making him into a straw man, but not having him do anything that actually nothing that actually either villainizes or truly demonizes what he's trying to say, except for the content itself. I get the feeling they totally could have modified the story a little bit to make Naysay more quintessential to it, instead of just coming in, twirling his mustache, and then leaving, which is effectively what he did. Also, if Cozy Glow is not somehow associated with Naysay, I will eat my hat.
I would like to answer that, but I won't because it's a spoiler. But going back to like Nace and that stuff, like that's like my point. Like, okay, we get it. You're going to be. I don't know. He may have his reasons for hating all of the other races, aside from maybe the ponies being the only race. But you do raise a good point. Like, even in the movie, we only see that, oh, we have a friendship celebration day, but it's only ponies around. Like, I think that after the movie, it's like, maybe it was just for marketing or whatever. But I think that after the movie, they actually realized there's other creatures like live either outside of Equestria or even in Equestria, because I think there's an episode coming about certain species that is in Equestria, but well, we haven't even seen them before. I think that it is important that they learn new ways to like socialize with them, to learn their cultures, learn everything about them, and not just like Nate said, like, oh, we have to be prepared for them. We have to learn more about them to just like fight them if there's a war in the future. Like, there's no need to have wars with them if you just stop being like you are. And yeah, just Nace, I get that he may be the villain at the end, and even Cozy Glow, maybe, I don't know, I have seen it, but I'm not going to say it. But like, what else is there for him? Like, I really think that even Chrysalis would have been a better choice for like the ending of the season, maybe, if she was there. But it's like, what else can you do? What more is to this character than, oh, I'm just racist?
That's fair. I do have to agree, though. He does have not only is he racist about it, but he has this ego idea that his way is the best way, and there's no way to argue around it. Even though we saw a scene of Twlight walking into the EEA, and there's like 20 ponies in there.
Actually, some of the cheerleaders are from the council. I don't know who pointed that out, but yeah.
But don't they get a say in it too? Or is he just like absolute, total, totalitarian authority over the whole organization? And holy crap, everyone lit up. Jasper, since you've been quiet for a while, and then back to Silver again.
That should be the case, how everyone in that room should have a say, but there's one key difference. None of them has a famous voice actor, so they're not important enough.
Yeah, that's a result of the writers.
Harsh.
At least that seems to be the mentality they're going for.
Quill and then Spy.
Well, just building off what you say, Fiaura, about his ego and his my way or the highway. It's also another sign of his out of control ego. He sees Starspear with a beard and is like, oh, I'd heard rumors of your return. And here's Twlight off to the side going, yeah, because of me! And yet here he is doing his best to spit venom at the very person who arranged for this miracle, unintentionally, but still.
All right then. So, Spy, we've got you, and then we're gonna move on to the last person who had a major theme queued up there.
Fair enough. I think the biggest problem is the fact of how the writers write Naysay and the boundaries they have to keep in. Because I agree with Brony Critic saying, you know, there was some lines that were flat out racist, and that's fine. You can have a good racist character, but you have to go all the way with a villain. Like, if we take Gravity Falls, for example, the final set of episodes, that one moment where Bill snaps his fingers and changes a guy's face, that was pretty dark for a kid's show, but they wanted to run with it to say, this is the guy that you don't mess with. And with, like, Naysay, you've got the setup of, oh, he's a racist, he is a bad guy, but then they never follow through. Like how you were saying about all of those other people on the educational board and they don't get a say. Perhaps if you'd written it a bit better, you could have had them because they fear him. Like, one might have raised their hand to have a vote, and he just turns and glares at them to enforce that presence. Or being with the racist thing, taking one of the species aside and really doing something to affect them to say, yeah, this is a bad guy. But at this current point, he just comes off as kind of a generic, boring villain. And keeping on the educational board as a quick endpoint, it kind of makes this entire episode fall apart, because in the first one, he was fully racist to all of the leaders' faces, like Ember and Thorax, directly to their face and directly to Celestia's face. So should he have not been fired for that? Like, how did he credit Flim and Flam's university after saying that stuff directly to the leaders' faces?
This comes to show that some people just have bad blood.
Because baby, now we got bad blood.
God damn it, you creepy vine by
Oh my god. No.
He did it. He did it.
Excuse me while I try to get that song out of my head.
Oh, well, here I can help with that. Because baby, now we got bad blood. You know, we used to be best buds. Because I'm Batman.
Silver Quill, you are not Chris.
Okay. We automatically have to ding this broadcast 4 more times for that, because that's 5 cents minimum.
But
well, if you
but yeah, actually, I have something to add about. Actually, like it's funny you bring that up about you know, them, like the people not doing anything even though they're saying it directly to their faces. I think it goes back to an earlier point that was raised. I'm blanking on who brought this up, but no, wait, yeah, I think it was Brony Critic that brought this up earlier. It kind of goes back to what he was saying about, like earlier, about nobody respecting royalty, especially Twlight. So I don't know if that connects much to anything, but it reminded me of something that Brony Critic brought up in terms of what was that saying that you said?
Les Majestés.
Les Majestés. That's what it was.
Which
I don't know. Just part of me thinks, like, if that's true, then it's still that kind of goes on par with, you know, that age-old debate of why Twlight, despite being a princess, can't get a cabin in Manhattan and stuff like that. Maybe they just have royalty there just to make things look pretty, and they don't actually respect them in any way. So I don't know how much this argument holds any water, but I don't know. It's just something that came across my head when Moon Knight brought up about, you know, naysaying others, saying these horrible things right in front of all these monarchs' faces, and yet nothing is done about it.
So it's like the Queen of England then. She's just a tourist attraction for us Brits.
Which, to remind everyone, Les Majestés is the idea that you're not allowed to insult the monarchy, especially to their face. So, did anyone have another theme concept before we move to Q&A? I see Brony Critic, do you have one?
Honestly, I was kind of going off on his situation with Thespio's comments with, especially with Twlight. It's super infuriating because we actually do see that the ponies have a great deal of respect, like genuflecting to Celestia at all times, and, you know, being super respectful and courteous to, even if it's mostly out of fear, to even Luna, who wasn't even around for 1,000 years. But then you see Twlight, and you suddenly see, you know, consistent insults. And I think, honestly, the biggest problem is the writers haven't changed up the characters. They haven't really, they don't write for the fact that she's a princess anymore. They write for the fact that she has wings, but not the fact that she's a princess, with the privileges that come along with that. Because in reality, I guarantee you, most of the conflicts from the last 8 years would have been solved if she, like, the hand waving of she's a princess, she gets it for free. it's a situation of it's the reason why Celestia isn't the main character, because any problem she has would probably get solved by just saying, "Hey, go do this for me." Yes, Your Majesty. My Little Pony. Like credits roll.
I want to point out that also if we had Twilight with that actual capability, we would see a brand new fish out of water syndrome from her, in the fact that she didn't do any of this to become famous, and at times, such as the Twilight Time episode, she actually doesn't like being famous.
I think you actually bring up a good point. Like, if she was really treated like royalty, like, I think maybe Celestia and Luna have like more appreciation, because I don't know, Luna was feared for, I don't know, thousands of years because of Nightmare Moon. Celestia is worshipped because, well, she raises the sun, the moon. She defeated her sister so long ago. But yeah, the writers don't really like. I don't know what they do with the new writers, because there's new writers in this season, and I think there's always new writers on every season. But like, I don't know if they make their research before. I don't know if they just oh yeah, I'm gonna write this episode, and these characters are like this and like this and like this. I don't know what's the process of them, but that's the problem that we sometimes had. Like, sometimes some lessons are repeated. Like I think it was the Applejack and Rainbow Dash episode, non-compete clause, where they're struggling and competing against each other for being, I don't know, the teacher of the month, I think it was. And it was something that it was brought up in Fall Weather Friends, and it's like, okay, you did Fall Weather Friends again. So what was the point of this? And I think that royalty does like come up in one of those writing problems. Like, do they use it or do they not? Because I think sometimes they use it, like in, I think it was Twilight Time, where they want to have, well, time with Twilight because she's a princess or whatever. But then throughout all these future seasons, we have that, oh, she's just a normal pony, even though she's an alicorn and like she should be respected because she could probably blow you off this planet in just one Kamehameha. But I don't know why they have so much writing problems.
We had the Kamehameha thing last week, and it was from a regular unicorn, so I don't want to actually know what happens if Twilight goes... Oh, wait, we've already seen that.
Starlight just banished someone out of, like, this plane, so what could Twilight do to you?
I am convinced that she actually killed him, and that what we see wandering around the university is Discord's ghost, but that's me.
It was
actually,
his ghost.
Actually, they
call it a ghost.
Yeah, they actually do say that it's Discord's ghost.
So at this point, Discord is a zombie.
So, yes, I am convinced that Starlight literally vaporized someone out of the time-space continuum and then put them back into it.
I just want to add something on to what Moon Knight said, and this is reflecting what I said the last time I was in the podcast. When it comes to the writers, they get a lot of freelance writers, and I don't know if whether or not they look at the material or not, but it's part of the reason why consistency is an issue is because they just have to get it out there. And some writers write scripts at the same time without proofreading the script and looking over any continuity errors.
Oh, you said continuity.
Continuity.
But yeah, actually, Golden Fox did raise up a good point, because I actually had a similar discussion with Josh Scorcher during Crystal Mountain PonyCon last weekend, when we were talking about Starlight's progression throughout the show, as well as the episode Fame and Misfortune. Sometimes, like, it's a common thing that the writers don't have the luxury of all getting together to write in a big room, so that way continuity is touched upon as much as it should. And another thing we can chalk it up to, sometimes the big guns at Hasbro kind of don't allow that sort of thing. Like, they're like, at the end of the day, it's the company that has the final say in everything. And the writers may have written for their first draft something completely different, to where Hasbro said, no, change this, and this. And that may be part of the issue. And that's kind of like, I remember Josh said something that actually kind of stuck with me. if you've never been in a TV show writer's position before, then you have no idea what you're talking about, as you've never been in their shoes. And in a sense, I can actually kind of agree with that. I mean, I've never written for, you know, a TV show before. I mean, I've written, you know, short stories and all that, but I've never written anything that would be considered a screenplay. So who knows what the actual process is when it comes to actually writing for a company such as this. But in a way, I don't think we should harp on the writers too much, because, you know, I think we've seen instances where it could kind of go off the rails, like, you know, Philly Vanilli and blah blah blah.
And you know,
So,
it's once again the result of blame Hasbro, blame Hasbro.
Also, Will said continuity as well.
Yes.
He's got that ready. He's got that ready.
That'll be 2 sins for use of soundboards, and then 3 because I used one.
Can you put in a...
Thank you for that, Solar. That was completely necessary.
Can you put in a 4th for every time I say, "Someone put me in a coma"? There we go.
Jesus Christ.
I'd also. Oh well. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, sorry.
Well, I also just want to point out that with her theory of death and basically resurrection, Fiaura has made Discord Pony Jeebus. And on the 3rd scene, he rose again in fulfillment of the script.
I hate you so much because there are exactly 3 scenes. There are exactly 3 scenes between.
Your Discord has appeared.
Oh my god!
Do you think that they did that just because John Delancey was like, "I don't want to be in any more episodes, just kill me"?
So
I'm sick of this show.
So if Discord is Brony Jeebus, does that mean in Equestria that's what we celebrate Easter for? If there even is an Easter?
You know, here's my argument that Will's gonna hate. Yeah, Discord got back because Starlight allowed him to come back, so that would make Starlight Pony Jeebus and make Discord more like Pony Lazarus.
Oh, I can sense the
Well, now Starlight has to
be slow and not very pleasant. I hope you know. I hope you realize that.
Well, I have to make this comment now, Silver. In order for that to happen, Starlight has to die and come back.
No, he said that Discord died and came back because he actually...
I was just about to say.
Thank you. Someone pointed that out.
So in order for Starlight to be Pony Jesus, now that she's resurrected her Lazarus, she has to die and come back.
All right, everybody, as an ordained reverend, all rise for the prayer. Quae habitatin cantilot, sictevitun nomen tum, fieri amashitia, in terris victus. Amen.
Oh my lord!
Was that actual Latin?
He's speaking in tongues.
Oh my god!
Was that Latin actually?
Oh wow!
I translated the Lord Prayer in Latin and then modified it for My Little Pony.
On the fly, or did you have that actually ready?
It was from an old script of mine.
Oh my god! Okay, you know what? I will applaud you for that dedication, Critic. That was good.
Give him a D.
Bravo. Yep, let's give him a round of applause.
Coma.
No, you have to do it right.
Coma.
You have to do it right. If you give someone a round of applause, you have to actually give them a round of applause.
Oh
my god.
Anyway, so we have we have Q&A to do if no one has any major theme to bring up. We are actually officially on the longest episode so far of our discussion.
And just because I opened up the floodgates for one of the major theme discussions, I feel accomplished today.
Way to go, Will.
Way to go, Will. Creating quality content.
How dare you make our show interesting?
So, first question, and queue up if you want to tackle it. Is this episode proof of a unicorn facial hair conspiracy aimed at driving Twilight nuts? These are in no particular order. These are literally in the order that they were submitted on the live stream chat.
I could
What
answer
was
that. Wait, what was the question again?
Is this episode proof of the unicorn conspiracy for facial hair aimed at driving Twilight insane? Go ahead,
I can
Jasper.
say on no uncertain terms, could be. I mean, I have facial hair and I drive everyone insane, so make of that what you will.
But then again, you're insane too, so...
Yes,
whatever.
and I'm going to spread the infection to everyone! Everyone gets it insane! You get it insane! You get it insane! Silver, you're too far gone to getting insane.
You're
Put
too
him-
late,
someone
mate.
put
That
him
happened
back-
a
someone-
long time ago.
Someone put Jasper back on the leash. You should before the
Whoa,
police
whoa
give
there,
us
boy.
a ticket for having an unleashed Jasper. Let's put him back on the leash.
Wait. Wait, you can't give Silver. You can't give Silver a mustache because you're gonna get barbecue sauce all over it.
Or soy
reminding
sauce.
of-
Now, I must ask you to refrain.
My hatred grows. It grows.
Says the fry cook, getting ready to fry the chicken.
Is that what the kids are calling it these days?
In the meantime, Sarah Laura Gomez asks, why do we all suspect that Cozy Glow is a villain if she's such a cute, sweet little filly?
It's
Can I
because of that
answer it?
expression.
Whoa,
that's why.
okay. Brony Critic, Moon Knight, Silver, Jasper, and Golden in that order.
Because it's so obvious. The writers have no subtlety with this character. Everything she does is so weird. She's so suspicious. Like, I get the sense that maybe she's not a full bad guy, but like, I would not be entirely surprised if like she's like it turns out she's Naysay's niece or something, and she's doing this to help her uncle or whatnot. And you know, at the end of the season, you know, you'll have the Cutie Mark Crusaders and the New Six, and they're helping her to figure out how to fight up against her uncle. If that is not the plot or somehow related or something similar, I'd be tremendously surprised because she's just so weird. Everything about her is so strangely presented in the show that you can't help it.
But no, go on, Jasper. I'll go later then.
I would like to say my reason with two names: Baby Doll and Darla Dimple. Nobody can be just that. Aren't I just precious? In facial expression without some kind of hidden, sour, evil agenda.
Something
The
tells me you've been watching Cats Though Dance.
Worse, I've been watching Batman the Animated Series.
All right, fair enough.
Okay, fair enough.
Of course, Cozy is also. Oh,
Go ahead, Silver.
Go on.
no, Moon Knight was next in the list.
Okay, Moon Knight.
Oh, okay. I really don't want to say anything, but it's like everyone kind of already knows, and even in the episode where she first appeared, she even like had that evil gleam in his eyes, like when she saw, I think it was Twilight's Cutie Mark or the magic element, but it's like it's so obvious. Like, oh, who gave the copy to Naysay? Oh, Cozy Glows appears. Oh, how did they got this part? Oh, Cozy Glows appears. Oh, hey, this friendship university just opened. Oh, hey, here's Cozy giving you some kind of, I don't know if it was a pamphlet or whatever it was. It was promotion. Anyways, it's like, it's too obvious. The writers don't know how to make subtlety in this show. Not that they had, but maybe.
I would argue against that, but I'll wait my turn.
All right, Silver.
Well, I'm gonna go full meta on this one. When the episode summaries first came out and were being posted all over the net, the summary for episode 26 specifically listed a character named Cozy Glow.
That's what I was about to say, but yeah.
And I was just like, well, wait, that just killed the surprise. Because it's just like a 28 Pranks Later, where they say, "Oh, they're gonna play a prank on Rainbow Dash." It's like, you just gave away the twist. Granted, it wasn't a very subtle twist, but still, party foul. Also, I demand that there be a pony named Party Foul.
That'd be pretty hilarious.
You know, it can't be a pony now. It has to be a hippogriff.
Yeah, are you suggesting that Party Favor has a griffin cousin or something?
Yes.
Oh, wait, yes. Party Favor, just give him a twin brother with a mustache.
I'm kind of surprised there isn't already a character named Party Foul somewhere. It's so pony. It's almost shocking.
I will Google it right now.
Actually, you know what? There is sort of a Party Foul-esque character that, you know, totally wrecks up the vibe of the party, but yet somehow makes it a different kind of funny. Her name is Maud Pie.
I was gonna say either Mud Briar or Spoiled Rich.
Either way. but yeah, I just have one quick comment on Cozy Glow before we go on. It's pretty short. I'm like, the first moment I laid eyes on her, I'm like, Shirley Temple Pone, I think you put something more than animal crackers in your soup to make people believe that you're this cozy character.
You mean that she's too cute to be cute?
I've seen cuter that's much more believable than her. But yeah, just everything about her just seems really forced.
Okay.
It seems like she's not trying to be cute. She's trying to be precious, and no one's precious on purpose.
Anyway, for me, my little quick thing on Cozy Glow, I was originally going to do an analysis video on like who is Cozy Glow and all that stuff, but it didn't really pan out. But I was looking at some research and, you know, like determining, you know, her various colors, like her fur color and her mane and her cutie mark. And, you know, her cutie mark is a red rook, which is red's the color of love, but it's also the color of anger and violence and hate. But I also looked up, you know, since it's a rook, I looked up just to see if there was any other possible like synonyms, and I found out another word for rook is rector, and rector is a person that stays at a university, head of a university or some type of educational facility. So, Chancellor Nace.
I know something you don't.
Might as well make the joke before Mexico can. Rector, I barely know her.
Oh my.
Wow. Did not see that one coming.
So I can confirm to you, Silver, there is no Party Foul OC on Google, so it's yours for the taking.
It's all mine. Also, I see the comments. I apologize if you think that I gave a spoiler, but if it's part of the episode summary or teaser, I don't think that's a spoiler.
It's already out in Australia. Like, I think it's already out, like, in all over the internet. Like, there's no way you haven't seen some spoiler at this point. And it's not, like, our fault or, like, any of the watching, any people who watches it. I think it's more, well, Hasbro's fault for just spreading it early, giving out this permission, quote unquote, to like, oh yeah, just air it, just air the finale like 1 month before the USA. Don't worry.
Well, I mean, this is the text that appears on the episode description as you look it up on, I don't know, Comcast Smart Guides or whatever.
The wiki even. But yeah, I mean, even I think it was the synopsis of Friendship University. It gave you the idea that it was going to be a Starsfield the Bearded episode, and then it turns out being a Flim Flam episode. Like, that was one of the points where I felt like I got kind of cheated.
As for Cozy Glow on my part, it was obvious that she is going to have some sort of villainous role, but I mean, you know, Aerith dies. I can't really say anything, but when I first saw her, I thought she was Queen Chrysalis. I honestly did, because Chrysalis was in there once in one form getting their hair for her Bad 6 episode, and I thought she'd just change the form again to get in with the kids and see where all the secrets are. And then the episode comes out, and it's like, so it is predictable that she's going to do something villainous, but it's Aerith dies. It does have a bit of a twist, so I was at least surprised.
Okay. Wow. I did not expect this much. So an interesting question posted by King Loki the Third. Would you classify Chancellor Neche a nationalist or a racist?
What's the difference?
Worst, he's a national racist.
I believe a nationalist is more putting their country above all others, whereas racist is more dead set on your own origin and resenting or excluding you for that. So, case in point, you may be an American exceptionalist and you accept all the people of any genetic history as long as they're within our borders. The rest of the world can go take a flying leap. That's nationalism.
I would say that, I mean, that is a rather interesting question that was posed, but I think a rebuttal to that would be, given how Chancellor Neche has only appeared 3 times up in this whole show, with this episode included, like Friendship University and both parts of School Days, I don't think it's really fair to really classify him as anything yet until we know a little bit more about him and why he thinks the way he thinks. Like, if there was maybe like a small sort of flashback that sort of illustrates why Neche is enforcing these policies and rules, then I don't know. I mean, he could be both, or he could be either one or neither. I just think we don't really have the luxury of screen time, or enough screen time with him to really pinpoint what he is. I don't know, but that's just me.
Thanks, Will. You lit up the board again. Let's start with Brony Critic, and 2 people unlit their light before I could catch it. So Spy, and I saw Silver, Spy, and who else? Moon. There we go. So let's start with Critic.
I think it's actually rather interesting, that dichotomy, the fact that they made such a distinction. Because in the first episode, I would definitely say he was much more nationalist. It seemed like he was really he was looking out for the best, what he thought was the best for Equestria. So putting him as a nationalist makes a little bit more sense. In this episode, they just drop all pretext. No, this guy is just a complete and utter racist. He pulls out lines that you would only see... He pulls out lines that you would see in those really cheap 90s anti-race PSA episodes on sitcoms. He pulled out the kind of subtlety you would see on those in some of his lines. The situation of, for as much as, Equestria has a paparazzi and a media, it's amazing that someone hasn't recorded him, posted it out for the world to see, and completely destroyed his reputation and career. Like, there is some career-ending levels of bigotry and hatred coming off this guy in this episode alone. And so, again, it's true that we don't have a lot of examples of it, but when we do see it, ooh, boy, is it prevalent.
Is it Spy next or myself? I got mixed up.
I mean, I can go.
It
so
would
I've only got
be...
one
Let's go with Spy.
sentence.
Let's go with Spy.
So, nationalist, racist, it doesn't really matter, because Brony, you said you can't classify him. I think we can. I think at this point, 3 episodes in, we can definitely give him a classification of worst villain.
That's a good point.
But building off what Brony said earlier in the podcast about 1920s racism was very overt and accepted, or going even further back.
Yep.
I noticed that we've all been sort of judging the lack of response based on our modern context, where people are rightly outraged when people would use such terminology. But Equestria may be very far behind on that curve. And ponies who don't have a great track record interacting with other races, they may just be very, very behind in this concept. It's sort of a cultural blind spot, and that is why perhaps Naysay is not losing his job or facing fines. A lot of ponies might just sort of shrug and say, yeah, that makes sense. Again, this is why the School of Friendship is needed, to challenge what is taken as an assumption.
I think the point. Okay, maybe we don't know Chancellor Naysay too much to say, oh, he's racist or he's a nationalist. But then again, it's like the ending of the season. Like there's only like what 6 or 7 more episodes that haven't aired in the USA, and none. I think like the ones that have aired don't have Naysay. And like again, maybe we can't judge him from what we've seen, but we haven't seen much. And the time that he's seen is like, oh, here I am, I'm racist, see ya. Like there's no much character development to him. And the part with that Silver said about maybe it's normal for ponies, maybe it's normal for everyone. Like he literally just went in front of Ember, Thorax. It wasn't Queen Noble, but it was like her representative, because voice actress is too expensive. He literally went in front of Celestia herself and say, "Oh, these races aren't friendly. They're coming to raid our villages. They're coming to kill everyone. We should go to war with them instead of befriending them." Like a guy like that in front of the princess, like of all of Equestria, like still conserving his job. Like I don't get how that's any like logical. And then again, like Chancellor Naysay, I think he's just racist because like some of them come from Equestria, but he just doesn't like them. Like the dragons are like kind of in a part of Equestria, but he just doesn't like them.
Well, on the topic of racism and rationality, I view them as pretty mutually exclusive. But again, I try to look back at American history. We tout that the founding fathers championed life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but we're completely blind that they were denying that to other people within the country. So there's the ideal, and then there's us trying to live up to it, and there's always a gap to overcome.
Oh no! Like I get it. Like maybe, I mean, Celestia has done so many mistakes. Like for example, not reforming her own sister and sending her to the moon. But it's like she saw that this wasn't good for relationships with the other leaders. Like she was present. Like what more do you need for this guy to lose his job? Like to actually go to war, because that was actually going to, well, it was Spike Mind, but he imagined like changelings and dragons going to war, and I think Jax and dragons go to war in the comics. But it's like, what else does she need? Like to actually be shown that if Chancellor Naysay goes on with his EEA or whatever, the EA, whatever it is, that he will actually end Equestria, and that was actually one of the endings of like the timelines or whatever. Like what more does she need?
Well, here's the weird rub. The other races didn't want to go to war over what Naysay said. They wanted to go to war when their students didn't come home.
That too, but then they also, like, when the students came back and the school was actually like closed or something, and then Naysay was, oh, these races are just the worst. We should just defend of them, not learn from them. It's like they're all in front of him. Celestia's in front of him. Like, how do you allow like this pony? Like, we know Celestia can do even more than an alicorn, than Twlight. Like, he could pretty much do what Starlight did. And then again, it's like, why doesn't she do anything?
Yeah, looking at this, it's sort of in the situation of if any politician in our world made this kind of behavior, they'd either be fired or elected president.
Oh, you mean like Donald Trump?
That's a little too close. That's a little too close to the real world right now.
Exactly.
Okay.
Social commentary, guys.
But I'm sorry, Fiaura, just real quick. This would result in another hour-long discussion, but once we're done with all the episodes, I'd like to propose a talk about equestrian justice, which might actually tie into why Celestia is letting this play out the way she has.
I think everyone here would be in on that discussion. Unless I'm wrong. That deserves a sit on its own, Will.
Way
ahead of you.
That wasn't me. I think that was Master Code.
That was him.
Yeah, I all I just said was, yeah, I'd be up for that. I did not ooh.
Okay, Golden Fox, how you doing? That's literally the question. How are you?
Hi, I'm good.
Okay,
Asking the real.
That was the question.
The only villains we have that are anymore are either racist like Naysay or are just aren't impressive anymore like Chrysalis. The Mean Six was basically, oh hey, Chrysalis is back. So why do we still care?
About Chrysalis?
About the villains, period. Quill, you're queued up already.
Well, I mean, villains they are the opposition to the hero's ideals. They're the force that pushes against it and keeps things interesting. If every villain just rolls over and converts after one battle, then Twilight and Company become much less interesting because there's no pushback. And I suppose that's also why Naysay and Flim and Flam and Chrysalis are kind of fascinating because they dig in and actually push back harder. One thing that I found interesting, back at the end of Viva Las Pegasus, Applejack says, must have felt pretty nice to finally put your conniving and cheating skills to good use. Flam, in fact, we might think of it as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Flim, emphasis on once. That was, while I know folks are frustrated by the presentation in this episode, that was the episode that kind of said, yeah, these characters are only ever going to be bad.
Brony Critic and Moon Knight again. Wow, you guys are all super tough. I almost want more bad episodes because you guys talk more.
Okay, so there's some coming. Don't worry. There's some really bad coming.
Yeah, like next week. There's some really good coming as well, though.
There's some good ones coming too. I.e., everyone prepare yourselves for Kira and OCs. In the meantime, Brony Critic, and then Jasper, and then
Brony, Aerith dies. You can't be talking about that.
You guys are about as subtle as foreshadowing as fucking Hasbro is.
Burn. Okay, clear the
Could you
floor.
say the question again?
Why do we care about the villains anymore if they're just going to be one-dimensional like Naysay, or they're just going to be Chrysalis is back, but who cares because she's a failure?
When I'm looking at it, I kind of noticed, like, Silvercrow put a very good idea for it. You know, fundamentally, the show is a slice of life. So it's sort of the everyday homework are the slice of life episodes. The villains were always intended to be the test, the end of semester exam or the final exam. And so the problem we're arising now is that because we've expanded beyond and becoming more adventure focused series kind of have to have consistent villains. And I think we were spoiled for a long time in that all of the villains that we got ended up, getting reformed fairly soon after, or, blowing up into a million tiny shards. And then we got a character, Starlight Glimmer, who was the first of the characters to, be presented with, we can make you a friend. And she literally gave them the proverbial middle finger and became the consistent season-long, bad guy. Obviously, she became a good guy, but, in that moment, we saw a new a new model for how the villains could work in this sort of more adventure style My Little Pony. I get the sense that the seasons we've been getting recently are the kind of show that maybe Lauren Faust was more aiming towards in that first original idea, because she originally didn't want a slice of life. She was aiming for much more a kind of 80s style adventure series. And so I'm kind of wondering if these kinds of episodes are what she was more planning on, literally going around fixing friendship problems throughout the land of Equestria.
That does seem to make sense at that point. The most that I can say is that I at least hope that they still continue with good moral values on top of making the show entertaining for the viewers.
Was it me or Silver next?
Jasper, actually.
Well, part of what makes villains like Chrysalis exciting for me is because while most of the other villains by now are either locked up, reformed, or dead, she's still lurking about.
And then it would be Moon Knight.
Yeah, like, I get it. Like, getting these one-dimensional villains, like, why should we even care anymore? It's like, it's just this one villain that has been kind of one-dimensional this season. We still have Chrysalis, who, as Jasper said, she's still lurking. Like, actually, I think it was Spyro that noted me one day that she could actually be in position of the elements of harmony because she's like holding something when she's like flying off away. I mean, we never know if the main six actually got to the elements of harmony, but I think we could still care about villains that are more than just one layer, like Neisei. Like, yeah, maybe he's just, okay, racist, and he could come and go in this season, like, who knows, but we've still got those villains that are there to be evil. We still have those villains that they would never be reformed or would rather die than be reformed, like Chrysalis, because, well, she just kind of flipped off Starlight. But it's like we can still care about villains. It's just that maybe they don't have the right idea of what a true villain is, and they could kind of be like mixing it with, he's bad because he's racist. Okay, what's more to that? It's like maybe they need something more, like, I don't know if it's a good example, but like in Steven Universe, White Diamond, like she's evil not only because she's supposed to be evil. Like when you see her, it's like she literally can freak you out. She has all this power and all this war that came about and all of these things. It's just like, did you have fun with this game? Did you got it all out of your system? Good. And it's like she doesn't even give a crap about everything. And that's kind of a villain that could make you tremble in fear. Kind of like Chrysalis when she was introduced, because she was freaky.
All right. Did anybody else want to weigh in on this question?
I'll weigh in.
You want to go Spy, or you can go Spy?
Yeah, sure. So, I don't know about the other villains, but there is a distinct reason why people care for Chrysalis at the very least. It's because she's been there since season 2, and the way she's been built up, she has obviously been built up at the start as like a terrifying villain, and then when everybody got captured, when she comes out to Starlight like a xenomorph and she twists her head around, she's got that creepiness factor. But the bigger reason why people care for at least Chrysalis is, unlike any other villain, Chrysalis is in a distinctly unique position for her story to end, because every other villain, as everybody stated, they either reform or they die. You have an option. Are you good or are you going to be executed? And that's what happens to everybody else. But Chrysalis has constantly fought against that either outcome, yes or no. And what people are hoping, and what I'm hoping, is there is the third option for her. Like, you don't have to become a Skittle changeling. You can stay a black, menacing one, but you can still have friends. You can still be the rogue bad girl, but you can still be liked. Like, they are in a distinctly unique position to have that third ending rather than just, are you going to become a Skittle or are we going to have to kill you?
Harsh. Will?
This is going along more the lines of why people care about villains in a general sense. Like this may be a different standpoint from everybody else, but you know, sometimes villains are just plain fun to watch, regardless. I don't know. Part of me, this might just be my sometimes sick, twisted view of reality, but sometimes it's fun to watch people be the bad guy and kind of go against this, you know, I'm trying to find the words for this. This conditioned belief of you must always be good. Sorry, accidentally dropped my watch. But I think, like, when it comes to Chrysalis, I think one of the main reasons why people still like watching her is because I think, like, in the show, correct me if I'm wrong, I think, like, she's the only villain that we sort of see progressively spiral down into madness. Like, especially in the Mean Six, it's kind of nothing short of obvious that she's kind of fallen off her rocker a little bit. And for some people, that kind of may be fun to watch, just to see a plan that she thought was brilliant kind of blow up in her face. And we haven't seen that with any other villains. Yeah, like they're either killed or sent to Tartarus or reformed and blah, blah, blah. She's one of the few villains that had the luxury of sort of getting away. And we haven't seen that in the show, you know, sans possibly Starlight Glimmer. But yeah, she's one of the few villains that the writers intentionally made. I mean, yeah, she was blown away at the end of a Canterlot Wedding Part 2, but she was technically one of the few villains to actually get away with stuff. And I think that's what people are kind of drawn in towards. It's like, do you have something else on up your sleeve that you're not telling us? Like, you got away. What else are you gonna do?
Yeah, you brought my you brought a comment I wanted to make in, and then you stole my thunder. She is totally 100% for the viewership. The she got away syndrome. She's not locked up. She's not reformed. She's still there, lurking. What's she gonna do?
Ooh, but does she know Dewey?
Really?
Silver, I respect you, but no.
Hey,
2017 called the meme back.
I honestly think so two things have come up when doing research for a panel that I might be presenting at Ciderfest for the first time. Yay. I didn't say that out loud. The fact is that Chrysalis was the queen of the changelings, and we don't actually know how they work or function. But generally speaking, if she's actually a bug with an exoskeleton and she's a queen, why doesn't she just go make a new hive?
Because she needs the other part, because when one bee loves another bee, they have...
Moon Knight, explain thorax then.
Thorax and pharynx then?
And that also brings up the problem of, if thorax is the one in charge of the hive,
pharynx is
Did they just pull an R63 in front of us and no one realized it?
Probably.
R63 being gender switching.
The world may never know.
How do we know that a species that is capable of changing their shape into whatever they feel like is completely bound by your or by anyone's standards of, you know, sexuality or gender?
Thank you! Opening a whole new can of worms I didn't want to open today!
I mean, there's still bugs, so...
They are
And if
still
you
at their
do
they
a
are
high
they are
thing-
still at their core bugs, and they do still have to. And since the show writers have stated this since season 2, and the show producers and basically everybody, that creatures on the show reproduce through normal means of reproduction. That brings up so many questions when you look at a changeling and go, how? Because we know from Thorax and we know from Thorax and Phalanx's Phalanx. We know from Thorax and Phalanx's backstory that changelings have eggs that they hatch from. Well, where do the eggs come from?
The queen.
So
maybe
Chrysalis.
Maybe.
Why don't you go make another hive and make it
Because
absolutely?
she needs the other. She needs the other part. She needs the male or whatever she needed.
If you can impersonate the form of anything, you can just pretend to be someone and, well, I'm suggesting something horrible now, steal a male as needed.
Hey kids, you all enjoying the stream? Today we're going to talk about bug sex and how insects reproduce.
Moving on.
I'm going to have some unsightly visions of that tonight. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Well,
Bring on the fan art.
This is
absolutely not.
That's okay, Jasper. Just look at the picture of the two Griffin and Hippogriff on the bed with the barbecue sauce. That'll knock these thoughts right out of your head.
You know, I'm gonna say this.
Bye.
Bring on the fan art, but you have to make it safe for Blissey.
Why?
Is that possible? Is the question.
I also see comments now, because we're on the bug sex, saying that Chrysalis is a MILF and people would willingly be Chrysalis's other half.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Okay, so Servo Quill, on an actual joke, because I can't believe we just discussed that without joking. Servo Quill, the direct question from AFL Studio 300 is, what courses are offered at FU University?
Well, there's the courses of where did I put all those shits? Let's see here. How to screw over your friends in 10 easy steps or less. YouTubing for dummies, which is all of YouTube. And let's see what else. Oh, politics and mudslinging 101.
You forgot the
Whoa.
dance at the Tumblerinas 101 down the hall.
But welcome to FU University, where our motto is, your money is now our money. Enjoy college debt.
And of course, there's the Silver Quill art exhibition class.
There's also the Silver Quill art of creating the worst ships in existence and then riding them into the grave.
Your money is now our money, and we shall spend it on drugs!
All right, and so what is the anthem of FU?
I don't know, but I feel like, considering the joke is FU, we could also get like an anagram of S my D in there, and when people question it, it's just staple my document.
Die.
No. I already forgot the lyrics for the song, where it's just basically, forget you and forget you too.
Yeah, that's the censored version, but the actual version says the F word.
Okay.
Yeah.
We are rapidly approaching. For the first time this has happened since we started this, I have more questions than we probably have time. So, I'm gonna let the person who's been the most quiet the entire time, Master Code, pick a number 1 through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1 through 12. What is the final question? Because we are at the 2-hour mark.
I'm gonna say 8.
8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Oh, this is going to be a fun one. Everyone, what is the absolute worst punishment that should be inflicted upon Naysay and Cozy Glow?
Let's see. What were all those forms of punishment we heard in Ghostbusters? He was drawn, quartered, hung, and whatnot. How about that?
All right. Brony Critic.
Oh, I'm so excited. I saw this question in the feed, and it reminded me of an old D&D game. I played the D&D My Little Pony game with some friends, and we had a character who was a racist. And so part of the joke we did is that we snuck some poison joke into the character's food, and they literally turned into a zebra. We thought it was a bit of karmic justice. So, you know, and we've seen that Twilight has the ability to change a creature's species. So maybe it might do Naysay some good to walk a mile in some other race's shoes.
Okay. Who else we got here?
That sounds evil.
That makes the punishment fit the crime. Let's go with Jasper and then Quill.
Okay, mine might be a little out there, but for Cozy Glow, I say we punish her by forcing her to be a child actress, because then she'll be really miserable. And for Naysay, we lock him in a dragon brothel.
Oh.
They
That's
probably
next week's
end
fan
up
art.
rescuing him.
You sure that's a punishment? I know you want him to get screwed, but not like that.
I literally
Oh my
now
God.
I literally now
jeez.
see fan art of everyone's OC who's a part of this turned into dragons surrounding Naysay in a red light district.
Everything!
Spyro, can you work on that?
Let me type this down. I
Is
will
it like
make it
that
happen.
one meme of like the white chick on the couch surrounded by like 5 black dudes?
Except for now, it's Naysay surrounded by all of us looking like dragons, going which one's first.
Someone make that. Someone do that.
I will get on it. I mean, that's easy for me because I'm already a dragon, the greatest of all the dragons.
All I ask is that you
What
make
have I
sure
done?
just be sure to include the barbecue sauce.
Okay, Silver Quill, what is your... That barbecue sauce name is never gonna die.
I
Silver
mean,
Quill, what is your
considering we're going to be
punishment?
dragons on a pony, the barbecue sauce is going to be for him.
All right, my punishments. Separate. So, Naysay must attend a sensitivity training taught in the method of lectures as he tried to enforce with Friendship Twilight School, and that lecture must be provided by Pinkie Pie. For Cozy Glow, she must become Princess Flurry Heart's caretaker, as Flurry Heart is the only one who can try to outdo her in forced cuteness.
No.
I'm just gonna say, the trauma is real when you put the demon alicorn and Cozy Glow in the same room and say, take care of it.
The demon alicorn that will have no repercussions, dry humping your eyeballs.
Goodbye.
That happened to Pinkie Pie. There was a 2-second long scene that suggested that, so don't be calling bull on me.
Oh yeah, didn't she act like a face hugger once?
Yes, exactly.
I'm the baby, gotta love me.
I didn't need that trauma again. I really did.
I'm not calling Bull. I'm calling a therapist because now I think I need to curl up with a pizza and cry.
I agree. I know what I'm talking to my therapist about this coming month, and they're gonna stare at me and go, "What is wrong with you?"
But if you curl up with the pizza, you get all greasy and you get acne.
I don't care!
I mean, if it's a cookie pizza.
Okay, does anyone else want to weigh in on punishment, or are we gonna wrap this
Me.
one up?
My
Alright, hold on.
punishment for Naysay.
One at a time. So we'll start with Golden, and then Moon, and then Solar, and then Will get the last word.
Okay, so I would really have to think about this, because I think that, and I'm saying this delicately, Naysay should just be fired of being a chancellor.
Agreed.
Pretty much, yeah, that'd do it.
Moon Knight.
Okay, so for Chancellor Nacy, maybe Jasper's idea wasn't kind of out of the line, but like make him be in like, I don't know, if either the friendship school or either within one of the tribes, but have him not have any like magic powers or his talisman or whatever. As for Cozy, I mean, yeah, maybe taking care of Flory Heart would be. I don't know if it would be too much for her. I mean, who will even take care of? But for Cozy, it's hard because we know that she's out for doing something. I know why, but then again, it's a spoiler, so I don't know. For Cozy, it's kind of either lock her up or maybe just, I don't know, make her learn of friendship more, I guess. It's kind of weird because we really don't know much about Cozy.
Okay. Will.
Oh, okay. I guess just screw me.
No, I'm gonna get to you, Solar. I'm gonna get to you.
Honestly, I don't know if I can really think of anything to one up Brony Critic's method. I was just going to simply suggest we send Chancellor Naysay to Yakistan. I mean, literally all their tradition is smashing.
Oh my god.
Okay, we said punishment.
Thespio, that would be a dinner and a show. Who wants popcorn?
We said punishment, not execution.
Okay, fair enough. That would be for execution, but honestly, with what Brony Critic said, I can't top that. I honestly can't.
You guys do realize that execution is a punishment, right?
Moving on from the darkness of our soul.
Go ahead,
Play quickly, okay?
Family picture.
Sunny day.
All right, go ahead, Solar.
You know, everybody had these very, very creative ideas for how they should, punish these two characters, and everybody missed the really obvious one. Just lock them in a room with Silver Quill and endless puns.
Oh god.
Don't forget the barbecue sauce.
So
I am the embodiment of cruel and unusual punishment.
We
walked into that one.
I'm actually going to go with an audience suggestion, and that is to lock Naysay in the reflection pool with all of the Pinkie Pies.
Oh my god!
Does that mean that he also gets copied?
Not if he doesn't come back out.
That's true.
Just lock him in the Equestria Girls universe.
So I just want everybody to think about that. You're locked in a room with 202, and yes, I actually counted them, Pinkie Pies.
I know about y'all, but I'm game.
I'm imagining that one scene from like the riot of King's Landing in Game of Thrones, where that one religious leader literally gets torn apart by the crowd.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of our broadcast. We are actually over the maximum amount that we ever intended to go, which was 2 hours. Congratulations, Thespio. I think it's your fault, and we would gladly welcome you anytime you want to come in.
Again, sorry, not sorry. I don't know.
Don't be sorry. This was actually, I think this was actually a pretty amazing discussion. So I would like to thank everyone who's not here. That would be all of Harmony Dancer and Shoujo and Lightning Bliss and Katie. They are actually scheduled to be regulars on our show. They are not here, but you will find their content in the description below, as well as the content of all of these jokers. I will let them outro themselves. We start at the top. That means the Wilsonator because his name starts with a D.
Yeah, this was fun to be on. I hope to continue to be on as regularly as I can, and I'm glad I could add to the discussion, I guess. But yeah, this was fun.
Goldie.
Golden.
Golden Fox.
Goldie, you there?
He got too traumatized.
I guess I'll have to outro Goldie. Hey, so everyone, Golden Fox, you'll find him in the description below, along with everyone who's been mentioned, and who's going to mention themselves. But Golden Fox, grandfather of this insane analyst craziness, hopefully you'll come check out his shenaniganry. In the meantime, Jasper would like to say something.
Next week, remind me to bring a staple gun for my mouth. Especially if I gotta be around these jokers every other week. Also, I am still holding comic commissions, so be sure to check those out anytime.
I look forward to the comic we're supposed to do together soon.
That is coming up.
Master Code.
Yes. First off, I would say, once again, Will, how dare you give us interesting and engaging discussions? I mean, what's your problem? You're like one of the most evil and diabolical people I've ever met. Ugh. But anyway, thank you all for enjoying the podcast. Be sure to subscribe to me, the Ace Analyst, on YouTube. Enjoy my content, reviews, and whatnot. This is Master Code, and until next time, guys, MC out!
I just want to say to defend myself, it's like I used to be a professor at Rutgers University or something. Moon Knight.
Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. It was a little bit longer than maybe we expected, but you can't deny that it was interesting and we had some fun moments. Well, be sure to check my channel and everyone's channel because we've all got some nice content around. And, well, as a reminder, don't forget to bring the barbecue sauce next week, or the soy sauce, whichever you prefer.
Oh boy, now I suddenly have this horrible image of the barbecue sauce replaced with soy sauce, and Silver Quill, who's up next, as Akiran. Silver Quill.
Well, I'm Silver Quill, and I'll see you all in your dreams tonight with a bottle of barbecue sauce, or soy sauce, or, dare I say, mystery sauce.
Well, if you hear me screaming and crying tonight, then that's why.
Solar, please save us.
Did I get my turn skipped because I'm I was on the phone with Keyframe?
No, it's your turn.
Yeah, just let him go.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
All right. So until next time, I'm Golden Fox, and be sure to stick around on my Twitch tomorrow because I'm going to be doing a 500 subscriber milestone from my stream channel, Mega Man X. So, get you there.
Okay. That was Goldie, right? I'm sorry, I'm a little out of it now. Next person, Solar.
I'll go last.
All right, then that leaves Brony Critic.
All right, everybody. First, I'm going to say, my eyes, damn you, Silver. But next, I want to thank you guys for letting me hang out with all you guys every week. It's a ton of fun. I enjoy talking about the show. I am the Brony Critic. You guys can check out my stuff here on YouTube. You can also follow me on Twitter by looking up the Brony Critic. I do a lot of fandom reviews. I've got quite a few things in the work for the next couple of months, and I should also have my panels out from TrotCon out fairly soon. I've just had a little bit of problems with the editing software, but it should be hopefully solved fairly soon. I hope to see you all around, and be sure to check out all my stuff as well as everything else these guys make, because every fandom needs a critic.
Okay, and oh wait, I haven't done myself. I feel silly now. Hi everyone, I'm Fiaura. My next stream is actually tomorrow. We're not doing a midnight stream tonight because I'm still in recovery mode from CMPC. So I will be streaming tomorrow for my 40K fans, and then next week we have Ark, Fallout Equestria, and Monster Hunter World to look forward to, as well as apparently my video editor for my next pony analyst has just informed me that they've already got the audio done, so yay? I guess that's going to be really soon. In the meantime, that's everything. We will see you guys next week for The End in Friendship, Season 8, Episode 17.
Oh god, no.
You know, I'm waiting for the good episodes to start kicking back in, like The Road to Friendship or you know, anything, but it's...
Road to Friendship is after this one. If it's after...
It's like Season 5 all over again, where we hate episodes 15 through 20, and then suddenly it's like, oh, look, everything's awesome again.
Quality!
Based on the reactions from everybody, I'm excited. I'm glad to be a part of this enterprise.
I like this idea. I'm glad to be a part of it.
Anyway,
I want to die.
I will see all you analysts next Saturday night at 6:30 for the episode viewing, and we'll see you guys at 7 Eastern Standard Time for the actual discussion.
See you all next time. I'll try and
Peace out, y'all.
Live long and propane.
I'll try and bring that dragon picture to give them all nightmares again.
I'm sorry, Jasper. Every time you say live long in propane, I just have this image of you walking up and knocking on someone's house and going, I'm a propane salesman and I sell propane accessories. And then you open your suitcase and it's full of BDSM gear.
God. Okay, then you're happy and then the previous. It's just why?
Thank you, Bobby.
Good night. Sleep tight. Avoid silver quills tonight.
I always knew propane was a gas, but really.
Sweet dreams or nightmares, depending on what you saw.
Encounter over.
Nice.
Yes, woo!
Good night, everybody.
I love you.